joining us on the program, Katie Pavlich from townhall.com. Katie, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm excellent. I understand, by the way. I don't know. I was going to say, I can't actually say the phrase that I was going to say, but I understand you actually had a little direct message trouble this evening on Twitter.
I did. I was sending a message from my phone, and I sent it to my regular Twitter feed instead of my direct message feed, but luckily it wasn't a picture of my nether areas, so it's fine.
Well, that's good.
It was simply a communication error.
And it was immediately deleted.
Representative Wiener pulled that one off, but luckily for me, it was okay.
And did you immediately delete it and then start talking hockey?
Yeah, no, I deleted it, and then I sent it again as a direct message, so whatever. I guess we'll never know if Representative Wiener sent it as a direct message or not after he deleted it.
Well, listen, he's hired a private security firm to look into the matter, so I'm sure we'll get the truth one day.
I think he's hiring them to say that they can't figure it out. He's basically going to say, "Here's $1 million.
Katie,
make sure you make up a story."
You are so cynical, Katie. Really. I mean, did Andrew Breitbart tell you to say that? Is that the deal?
I just cannot even believe, living in Washington D.C., that this took up the news today. I mean, can you? I mean, all day.
Okay, no.
This is in the news. It's like, really?
Here's what I can't believe. I can't believe that yesterday we saw a press conference in which a congressman calls the CNN Capitol Hill producer a jackass, insults the reporters when he refuses to answer a question, says he doesn't want to talk about this. This is a distraction, and he's made the decision that he's not going to let this be what he talks about for the next 2 or 3 days. And then today he does interviews on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, CNN, and at least 2 interviews on MSNBC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not like they're asking him tough questions. They're asking him a yes or no question. So now the big question is, he won't deny that it's him.
He cannot say with any certitude. Right.
That's the conclusion we've made through all the hoo-ha today.
I
hope that, it's not like the Middle East is burning or that the debt limit's going to be reached soon. Let's talk about this congressman and his regions of privacy areas.
Or that unexpectedly, we saw 38,000 jobs, new jobs last month, as opposed to the 175,000 that they were expecting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I'm telling you, is this recovery summer, round 2 in 2011? I mean, last summer, around the exact same time, Obama and Biden were kicking off their recovery summer, $1 trillion stimulus, tour, and that clearly didn't work. And now we're kicking off recovery summer round 2.
I've got a theory, and it's only a theory. I have no proof whatsoever for this, but I've got a theory that President Obama contacted Representative Wiener and said, "Look, we got some really crummy news coming out over the next few days. Could you take one for the team here when you run for mayor? I'll come and I'll do a couple of fundraisers. But look, I need Wienergate to be the news cycle right now, Anthony. Do you understand what I'm saying here? And I am from Chicago. I will remind you, we do not play nice. It's just a theory that I'm working on. But,
maybe. You never know. I mean, things are pretty bad, so you just never know. That's a pretty dedicated Democrat, though, for him to actually do that for the president. That's what you call serving the commander-in-chief, if that happens to be true.
Listen, the organizer-in-chief calls and says he needs a favor. That bus is very crowded. There are a lot of people who have been thrown under the bus over the last couple of years. You say no to the big guy.
True.
You may find yourself laying next to Reverend Wright saying, "What happened to me? I was fine. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and all of a sudden I ended up under the bus." Anyway, we're not going to spend this entire segment talking about Anthony Weiner, not when there is more important news to talk about. I am so excited, Katie, that Town Hall Magazine has your story, Misfire, all about Operation Fast and Furious. I said, to my knowledge, this is the first, let's say, non-NRA publication that has dedicated a print story to Fast and Furious, and congratulations on reporting this. It is a good story.
Thanks. I'm excited. I'm glad that we decided to pick it up, and I feel like, it's one of those stories that isn't getting out that needs to get out. I mean, in my opinion, I think that this may be the biggest scandal that the Justice Department and ATF have ever ever dealt with, especially considering, things in Mexico continue to go south. And regardless of what the president says about how safe the border is, it's not safe. And, the Justice Department is aiding and has been aiding in the violence in Mexico. And I think people need to know about it. And, for a number of reasons. A, the government isn't doing good things when they're in charge. And B, they're attacking the Second Amendment on top of it. It's just completely inappropriate, and it's a huge scandal that they're trying to cover up. And like I said in the story, you have the Justice Department, and then you have, Eric Holder and President Obama denying that they know anything about it when clearly someone knew something about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that no one knew what was going on. And then you have them stonewalling, all about this, stonewalling the Oversight Committee over and over again with information even under a subpoena. Clearly there's stuff going on that they don't want people to know about. So it's really important that people actually get this out there.
Listen, and again, you've done a very good job. It's a very lengthy story. This is not a surface story. You get into some of the nitty-gritty details, including the way the media has covered this story. You referenced that December 15th, 2010 story in the Washington Post that basically accused Carter's Country gun stores in Texas of arming the cartels.
Right.
And you point out that, the Post never mentioned the fact that, Carter Country has been, their attorney's been saying, look, the ATF asked us to make these sales. We told them that we were uncomfortable making these sales, and the ATF said, "Oh no, go ahead. You're cooperating with us. You're helping us make these cases." Washington Post not interested in reporting that. They are interested in making it sound like these gun stores are operating outside of the law.
I always find it so ironic because you have these journalists who go into the field, and their whole idea is to keep the government accountable. That's what journalists are supposed to do. That's what their job is.
Right.
Yet, at every single turn, it seems like they take the government's word over the citizens' word, and really they're supposed to be there as a watchdog for the government. And they have obviously, and the other thing that's important here too is with the Carter situation, the Justice Department was demanding that they sell to these cartels, and at the same time that they're doing that, they have them under a federal investigation. So they're requiring that they comply with this illegal activity the government is mandating for violence to occur in Mexico, giving these violent, ruthless cartels who people in Congress think should be named as a terrorist organization, so it's easier to deal with them, quite frankly. And the Justice Department is taking the side of, we're going to have you under federal investigation, and then we're going to blame you for the violence in Mexico. It's absolutely outrageous, and it makes no sense at all.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Now, we mentioned another story earlier today. The police chief in the Mexican state of Guerrero apparently says he wants to, and is going to lobby the federal Congress in Mexico to make it easier for ordinary people to own a gun, because right now it is so incredibly difficult in Mexico for people like you and I to own a firearm. But clearly the cartels are getting military helicopters and narco tanks and submarines and anti-tank missiles and all kinds of stuff. This is the first time, Katie, that I've seen a high-ranking official say, you know what, people need to be able to defend themselves against these bad guys. And it is and I think the actual quote was Ramon Almonte, the state police chief in the state of Guerrero, says when you fight someone and at least you have a peace, the person who is attacking you might think twice. We cannot go on the way we are. He says having a weapon should be a right because the bad guys are few and we, the good guys, are many, so we can't allow ourselves to be held hostage by the few. Right. I said, that sounds like something Wayne LaPierre would say.
The thing is, too, is, these cartels have billions and billions of dollars, they have endless amounts of resources, and you have these people in Mexico who, like you said, literally cannot defend themselves at all. So the less chance that these people have to defend themselves, and the more that the Mexican government revokes that right from them to be able to defend themselves, the more powerful these cartels get. So at what point does Mexico get so bad that it becomes a civil war? I mean, people I don't think really realize how serious the situation is down there.
Oh, no. No, you're right. I have friends who are actually They've lived outside of Mexico for probably the last 13 years in Germany and here in the United States, and they're getting ready to move back. And one of my friends told me that when they went down there for a family vacation a few months ago, they went to her hometown, and while they were there, 9 people were killed by the cartels. In her hometown, a city of about 500,000 people or so. It is very scary what is happening down there, but the idea, Katie, that these cartels could be stopped by you could wipe off the Second Amendment from the Bill of Rights tomorrow, and I got to tell you, I don't think the cartels would even notice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have no respect for the rule of law whatsoever, and
when
this operation, I mean, the U.S. federal government is essentially arming these cartels, who a lot of people in Congress think should be terrorist organizations. So you could say that the government is actually arming terrorists just south of the border, and then blaming it on Americans. I mean, it makes no sense at all, and it's completely, you can't defend it. I don't know how they're going to. I mean, besides not providing any information to the public, I guess that's how they can cover this up.
It's a distraction.
We're going to keep pushing for it.
It's just a distraction. Look, these things can be faked, Katie. Maybe it was, maybe the ATF got hacked. Or it was just a prank.
Right. Maybe this was just something that some low-level official ordered and that no one up above knew about.
Exactly.
Right?
But look, let's not make
this happened in different states or anything.
Let's not make a federal case out of this. I mean, the little people, if they had something like this happen, they wouldn't call the FBI. So let's not. Yeah, this is just a distraction. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else, like Congressman Weiner. Have we talked about Congressman Weiner in the last 5 minutes?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I know. No, and like you said, I mean, it's important to point out too is Wayne LaPierre brought this up. You've seen these officials talk about this 90% figure, and we talked about this last time I was in the studio, how these politicians continue to repeat this 90% figure, that 90% of the guns in Mexico come from America, which just isn't true. So this operation is starting to look like, well, we need to prove our figure, and there's only a trickle of guns going to Mexico, so let's turn that into a river to prove our false statistics. We can reinstate our assault weapons ban in America because that's what we want to do with our gun control agenda. I mean, it's starting to look really bad.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep pushing and try and get some more answers from them, if they want to talk about Representative Weiner and his problems with the Twitters.
With the Twitters. Hey, Katie, thank you again for coming on the program. A fantastic piece, Misfire. When does the magazine hit the newsstands?
This will be out tomorrow. It should be in stores hopefully soon, maybe sometime this week. It's a June issue, and people can also subscribe at townhallmagazine.com.
All right. Katie, thanks again, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
All right. Katie Pavlich, news editor at townhall.com, author of that new article, Misfire, and available, you heard from Katie, on the newsstands tomorrow.